Yes, so so good afternoon, everyone. Let me welcome you all again to this very exciting session of the solar entrepreneurs across the globe. We launched the SolarX Startup Challenge last year at COP27 in Sharm el Sheikh for the African region to promote entrepreneurship across the globe. What was really heartening to see was that we aimed to get about 100 applicants, but we got 180 applicants from the whole continent. We have an esteemed uh, and we have esteemed panelists today here, out of which we have technical evaluators. From 180 applicants, we went to 50, and from 50, we finally announced 20 winners at the G20 meeting in July in India. So thank you all for being present today. And let me hand over the mic to Director General Elsa to give the opening remarks.
Thank you, Pragya. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, welcome again. And now it's afternoon, so very good afternoon to all of you. As Pragya mentioned, we were very, very excited when last year we launched the SolarX program for identifying startups in Africa. At that point of time, one of the challenges that we face, and we still face today, is that there aren't very many project developers in the developing countries. Now, this is a bit of a chicken and egg situation because you need developers in order to figure out where the regulations should be placed. And you need regulations for lots of developers to develop. So we thought that we would address the chicken and egg problem by getting in a lot of startups. So what we did was that, as Pragya mentioned, 180 people, uh, startups participated. Ultimately, 20 were chosen. Those 20 are undergoing bootstrapping camps on raising resources, on technological cooperation, and on brand building. We are intensely proud, and we are hoping that we will be able to now repeat this experience in other geographies. So, for example, we would like very much to now announce this for Asia. So, I would like to say one more thing. In the number of 20 startups that were identified, I think there were 7 that were women led. Ideally, I would like it to be more. And therefore, in keeping with our program that we have launched this year on Solar for She, we would very much like that in the programs ahead, we hope that there'll be a lot more women startups going ahead, particularly in Asia and other countries. Now, this forthcoming leg of the SolarX Startup Challenge would obviously foster collaborations. I mean, this is one of the reasons why we have this. It would catalyze investments in the solar energy sector because you are pulling in money where it was not coming earlier. And you're getting startups, you're getting entrepreneurs to develop these new technologies, these new applications, meeting these new demands where there weren't any earlier. So, as we begin this second leg of our endeavor, I look forward to your cooperation. I also look forward to the kinds of, to drawing on the kinds of learnings, and I look forward to the panel on providing us with the kinds of insights that we need in order to go ahead. I want to thank again all of you for being here. And at this point of time, I request Mr. Dinesh Jagdale, Joint Secretary in charge of Solar in the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India, to deliver the keynote address. Dinesh.
His Excellency Dr. Mathur, the distinguished panelists, and the audience here, who I recognize has a wealth of experience in promoting renewable energy across the globe. So thank you for coming. And good afternoon to you all. Dr. Mathur mentioned, and you all know, the activities that International Solar Alliance has been promoting in the areas that we all require as a collective world, as a world where we are leading to the global net zero in terms of the energy transition. Actually, the activities that are required for the deprived, the citizens of the global world, the International Solar Alliance is playing a huge activity, huge role in not only in Africa but other countries as well. And in this area of global net zero, as we all speak, it is important for all of us to now really understand and promote the kind of technologies, the kind of entrepreneurship, the kind of innovations that are required to really fast pace these activities. And that is where I think the government of India, if you look at the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, and I will take 2 minutes to also speak about India as a country, what we have done in terms of looking at the pace at which RE should be promoted is specifically focusing on the citizen centric energy transition. We all know that unless the citizen is empowered to make the choices that he feels are really helpful for him to look at the energy transitions, I think it will not be very obvious and we won't get that support. So the citizen centric energy transition, when we are talking of this, it also recognizes the need that the entrepreneurship in that citizen is also mobilized. And especially in the continent of Africa, as we see, there is lots and lots of mobilization effort required. And that is where I think the today's context of, sir, you mentioned about the success that you received in your first activity in promoting the Grand Challenge, Solar StartX Grand Challenge in Africa. And I know I was a part of the activities that you mentioned to us, gave a presentations, and we also were very lucky enough to have a communication with those 20 selected entrepreneurs some months back. And we see that zeal and enthusiasm that they are looking at in terms of promoting the solar in their own respective countries. Now it is all this collective world that we need to come and unite to really see that these startups who have got that enthusiasm to support them in creating the finance facilities, in giving them the capacity building that is required. And therefore, I think today when we are gathering here and we are having the panel discussion on promoting entrepreneurship, it becomes equally important to really nurture, promote these startups that we have found out. And Pragya was mentioning about the efforts that they took in shortlisting those 20. And if you look at the chart that they have displayed outside, it also, it also shows that these small little interventions in those startups is actually going to play a huge role in promoting energy access, in promoting total transition that we all talk about in this COP28. That uh, that every little idea has a huge impact, and that's impact where we are looking at. From the government of India perspective, when we focus on large solar parks, we focus on large wind parks. We also are aware that the real benefit of RE is in the distributed nature that we can really enhance or harness. And that is where our efforts are from our schemes that we have been promoting in India are also towards solarization of their roofs, solarization of agriculture sector, promoting livelihoods through solar or through RE. so that the lives and livelihoods of the citizens are also met. And we have been giving a holistic approach to the overall context of energy transition. So in this today's topic about the entrepreneurship, we have been able to really promote some good institutions within India to really ensure that there are specialized capacity building curriculums that are deployed right from their pre-college to the university level as well, so that as soon as somebody comes out from an institute, he is ready to nurture and attend the requirements of the solar and RE industry. When we see these startup challenges that ISA has been able to promote, and you are talking about Asia today, I feel really, it's very impressive, and it's a pride for all of us that we are moving from continents to continents, promoting entrepreneurs, and that is where the success of the energy transition lies. It not only gives us is a clean energy, but also creates entrepreneurship, and that is the whole fundamental at where we are looking, because the energy transition, whether the topic of just transition also starts and stops here when we are looking at the kind of jobs that needs to be created, and which has huge potential. So I'm very happy, and my congratulations to the whole team of International Solar Alliance, and especially, sir, the partner countries which partnered with you, which actually gave you the platform to really showcase the areas of solar in their own respective domains. And that open heartedness of those countries is which plays a very important role in nurturing energy access into their countries. I salute to all the member countries. Today ISI is growing. ISI has almost more than 116 member countries. That itself shows 118 to be corrected as of today. Maybe tomorrow will be a different number, but as 118, it shows that the organization as ISA is growing in numbers, growing in strength, growing in knowledge, growing in experience, and all this collective growth is going to really benefit the kind of transition that this entire world requires. I would like to stop here, but once again, before I leave, I would like to congratulate each and everyone who has been part of this very interesting entrepreneurship journey. And those 20 who have been selected, I wish all them the best. And those who will be coming forward in the next challenges, I wish them good luck. Thank you. And bye.
Thank you so much, sir. But since you set the context so well, before we move to a very exciting video which showcases the 20 SolarX startup winners from Africa, may I request our partners, Sequoia Climate Foundation and DG sir, if we can just come forward for a formal handshake, because we would be working with them to promote solar startups for the Asian Pacific region moving forward. With this, we announce the Solar Pacific region SolarX startups for the Asian Pacific region now. Video, 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 video. Next video. Yeah. Thank you. We now have a 10-minute video which talks about the 20 winners of the SolarX Startup Challenge for the African region. And if we can play the video now, they will be showcasing the winners.
International Solar Alliance has been delighted to launch the SolarX Startup Challenge. We are looking at identifying people across 10 problem statement areas and focus on those startups which have followed innovative business models in order to build their growth. SolarX Startup Challenge has successfully concluded its first edition dedicated to the Africa region. The top 20 ideas will be awarded a cash prize each for their solutions and scalability. The winning startups will receive extensive support from the International Solar Alliance, Invest India, and other partner organizations. They will benefit from mentorship programs, investor connections, and market access programs. The SolarX Startup Challenge was launched for the African leg in 2022. This year, we received a tremendous response from all ISA member countries in Africa, and I must thank all the startups for showing their interest in the SolarX Startup Challenge.
We received 180 applicants from countries such as Ghana, Togo, Egypt, Morocco, Mauritius, Nigeria, and the likes.
It's extremely heartening to see the kind of innovative solutions that we have identified across the African region through the SolarX Grand Challenge. I'm very thankful for the team to have ideated, conceptualized, and executed this challenge.
The aim is to boost startups and innovation in the solar energy value chain. During this period, the team also conducted several capacity building workshops. The capacity building workshops focused on sensitizing startups, innovators, and ecosystem stakeholders in Africa about the opportunity presented by this program, while also sharing expertise in the solar energy domain.
Energrow is a microfinance company that helps rural communities afford carpentry equipment, welding equipment, all sorts of different income generating tools that people can use that also use electricity to help them earn more money, to help the energy companies earn more money, and then we make money as a financier as well. Our model is new. We're the only company on the continent that is doing this.
Normally, solar developers struggle to find funding and to create standard legal contracts. We give them access to a global market and we use standardized smart contracts. Solar investors also exist on the other side, but normally there are big banks of funds and generally they're locked in for 20 years. We make this investment liquid and open to all, and solar cells are always tradable.
Our innovative solution combines the use of solar power with other applications to save the land and to boost smallholder family income.
Our cards are generally modified to suit the client's wants and needs. All the cards manufactured by Musana come with 1 to 2 solar lights, depending on the model, and blue flame gas cooker. This is the direct approach we have chosen to take towards promoting the use of sustainable energy whilst reducing our overall impact on the environment.
The services and products that Photons Energy Limited is providing aims at solving a number of problems, which include the technical and financial innovations that aims at accelerating the deployment of off-grid energy systems. So such systems aims at bringing energy to those areas, but also replacing the use of diesel generators or other sources of energy which are not environmentally friendly.
The Sulfur Powerflow 100 is a reliable and sustainable solar generator that offers clean energy solutions. With a 300-watt solar panel and a 1,280 kilowatts battery, it efficiently harnesses and stores solar energy for later use. Sulfur aims to make solar energy accessible to underserved communities in Nigeria.
We built an AI model that ensures that any match that is made is completely data driven. This works with our platform. Customers fill out a survey and they get instantly emailed the options for them, and then they connect it to an energy provider.
The Sunlighter portable solar generator. It offers a sustainable, cost-effective alternative to unreliable and expensive electricity in Nigeria. It is a portable system with both DC and AC functions that can be easily matched with solar panels as demanded. It is built with top-graded lithium-ion batteries to provide extra long backup time. It is portable, can easily be carried from one location to another.
The smart border, an environmental control device that monitors and automatically maintains the conditions at optimal levels based on the age of chips. The processor determines whether to turn on or off a heat source. So based on the conditions, whether it's cold, it will turn it on. Whether it's hot, it will turn it off. We also have incorporated SMS sending you alerts whenever things are horribly wrong. With these systems, farmers gain benefits such as increased growth rates, reduced mortalities, reduced death rates, and above all else, reduced farming stress, which leads to peace of mind.
We have created the first ever solar cooking boiler to replace these traditional expensive firewood boilers in the Kenyan schools. As you can see on this side, this is our stove. So you can follow me to the stove. I love these schools to cook using solar energy. And last, we use firewood. So this stove is very efficient and it's very affordable. As you can see, this is the innovation around the stove because we're able to tap this energy using our solar collectors. And using this sun, we're able to store that energy in these pipes. And thereafter, this energy can be used to provide heat in these kitchens.
To bridge the cold chain gap, we manufacture and supply affordable solar-powered freezers, which enables the small-scale fishers to effectively deal with the huge challenge of post-harvest fish losses by extending the shelf life of their fish harvest. We offer our freezers on a lease-to-own payment model, which makes it affordable and sustainable to the low-earning small-scale fishers. We have also introduced Kuza Freezer Cold Box, which is a last-mile cold storage solution that enables the fisher folks to deliver their fresh fish to the market from remote places. We have built an IoT technology solution, which enables us to remotely monitor our products, hence improving on service quality.
Our solution is a portable solar-powered water filter. It's designed to remove harmful contaminants such as bacteria and viruses and other impurities from water, providing safe drinking water for communities. What sets us apart from other innovations is our affordability, making clean water accessible to even the most vulnerable of populations. And this is evidence from what you can see in this video. As you can see, it's portable, ensuring it can be used anywhere, even the community areas without access to electricity. It provides a highly efficient membrane filtration system that purifies water, ensuring it meets rigorous quality standards. With surface solar, you can have peace of mind that every drop of water is safe to drink.
With Urban Greens, I have developed a very efficient model with high scalability potential for the productive use of energy using solar PV. The highly standardized aquaponics urban farming systems and corresponding business model are designed to see the deployment of thousands of these systems in the greater Kampala area. It will have tremendous potential to be replicated in other urban areas as well.
Apple Motors has developed manufactured the first electric vehicles powered by solar energy in Africa. It has created something different. Car charging itself, 350 kilometers of free charging tank to photovoltaic solar cells. It can be fully charged within 3 hours from the domestic source.
ACS Group has been delighted to develop from scratch a product, a system that we call as a farm, which is an IoT-based system that helps farmers to optimally use agricultural inputs such as water and fertilizers. It's composed of two parts, a hardware part and a software part. These devices that are installed in to the farm gather and collect all the data, send it to the cloud where it is analyzed and processed and displayed on a web application or a mobile application.
We are using highly versatile inverters that can manage up to 4 energy sources. These inverters are able to accommodate 4 energy sources, including solar, grid, generator if it's available, and the batteries. And they're able to transition between all these energy sources seamlessly and dynamically in such a way that the freezers will never experience an interruption in power supply.
Greensin provides digitally managed pay-as-you-go enabled solar solutions. This innovation payment technology leverages existing national telecommunication infrastructure to provide affordable energy access to vast number of low-income households and small business while overcoming the barriers of limited or absent grid access and affordability. Our products allow customers to make small, regular, mobile phone based payments installments while owning their own solar systems.
Simply put, we assemble and distribute different types of solar systems with a pay-go financing model. Edo Solar was able to set up shop in 5 regions of Ethiopia. The company has delivered services through partnerships with organizations such as rural SMEs, international aid, and refugee camps.
Your Nation is a developer and manufacturer of innovative renewable energy solutions that are providing decentralized infrastructure solutions that can provide both of clean electricity and safe water to the less served communities. Here we are at one of our live boxes in a farm, and the live box is providing water for irrigation, powering a submersible pump, also desalinating water only from solar for drinking, domestic use, and also for livestock and poultry purposes.
Our innovation seeks to provide a smart solution with the introduction of a mechanized water pumping station and to also help electrify the entire community of these female farmers. This innovation will serve as a great impact to these female farmers because they will be able to adapt smart farming practices which are environmentally friendly.
So based on our big system off-grid box, we miniaturized it to get this off-grid box mini, which is a all-in system with water purification and solar power. So the raw water goes inside here, gets purified by ultrafiltration membranes like this one, and ultraviolet light to give you safe and transparent water. We're very excited about this new technology and the possibility it can unleash in saving the planet.
Let me thank all the startups and especially ISA's member countries in Africa for showing their interest and making this leg of the SolarX Startup Challenge a huge success.
I'm very, very confident that these innovations will not only propel the renewable energy sector going forward, but will pave the way for a brighter future for Africa and the world. My heartiest congratulations to all of the winners and the winning solution.
I hope that some of these become the Amazons of tomorrow in providing solar services to the people that we are talking about. We look forward to building up startups and therefore building up an ecosystem within which a large and larger number of these startups start providing solar services and therefore build up the supply of energy across the continent through solar applications.
Startups here in person, but maybe we can give a quick, round of applause for the 20 winners which were chosen from Africa. Now I think I'll move to another partner in West India who we've been working with on ground, and they are joining us virtually, and they would be presenting on what the SolarX process and the journey has been in the last year. So I have Sujata with me, who's leading the project from Invest India side. And Sujata, over to you.
Thank you, Pragya. Warm good afternoon to everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Pragya, can you confirm whether my
Yes, we can
screen
hear you.
is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Thank you once again, and we are excited to present our journey in the SolarX Startup Challenge so far. Before I start the presentation, I would like to thank the International Solar Alliance, the team, and especially DG Sir for supporting us throughout the journey. And it's been a very enriching experience for Invest India and for the whole team which is associated. And I'm glad I'm here today to share the journey with all of you. As mentioned, the SolarX Startup Challenge was launched in the last call. We were there. If you see, we are all there physically present in the last call. So it got launched in the last year with a three main objective, which the vision from ISA was that how do we attract investments in the solar sector? Second is how do we thin the energy gap globally? And third is how do we promote a very strong startup ecosystem? Why I'm mentioning the purpose is because we also played a very key role. The start India, the successful initiative of the government of India, which is housed under investing in India. So that being a forte, we came on board as a partner, and it's been a very, very fulfilling and enriching journey for all of us. I just wanted to present a brief timeline of how we executed this project. So the project, as I mentioned, got launched in the last COP27, and we did almost, I would say, 7 outreach programs, both physical and virtual. Been a very extensive work by the team at Invest India. We had many partners who supported us through the journey, like Vipa, Amda, Gogla, and some other partners who have been.
Oh, yeah, think her internet dropped.
Pragya, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, I think I may. Is my screen also visible?
We can see you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. So we did an extensive outreach program, reaching out to all relevant stakeholders, including the investment promotion agencies uh, of those countries, and also the startup ecosystem owners in those countries. So there was an extensive outreach program. Then we, as Sir also mentioned, we received an overwhelming response of about 180 plus applications from across 30 countries. So it was a very, very difficult task for the evaluation committee. We chose 20 winners across 10 countries, and currently the acceleration program is been happening. There were already 15 virtual acceleration program which has been done by the team, and we are looking forward to hosting the winners at the World Investment Conference, which is happening next week in Delhi. Uh, that's one. And just wanted to speak briefly about the problem statements which we did for Africa. So there were 10 problem statements, as you can see, across the broad spectrum, right from home usage to industrial usage. And when you look at the winners as well from the video which we saw earlier, it speaks about how do we use solar energy to domestic purpose to a cold chain usage. So the solutions are across sectors and across industry. And that's how they've been selected. And we have been engaging with them continuously for the last few months, working with them in terms of creating accelerated acceleration program and customized solutions. That's within PR. And we are also now excited to be partnered, if I may say. Uh, we are also very excited to be working with ISA and the other partners for the other leg of the program, which will be SolarX APAC vertical. So this is where we are, and thank you, Pragya, and thank you, DG Sir, and also we thank our leadership team locally here at Invest India, MD and CEO, Madam Rai, and the Startup India team, and everyone, and all our partners who have supported us in this journey. And we look forward to the next phase of the Solar Exchange. Thank you, Pragya.
Thank you, Sujata. Thank you so much. We look forward to our partnership. I think we'll now move to the panel discussion. We have. Yes.
First of all, we are delighted to have Sandra with us. Sandra is from uh, Salpa Energy in Nigeria, right? Okay. And if you remember, Salpa Energy has got a lot of manufacturing innovations for which they have come into the top 20. So, Sandra, welcome. But, Seema, I'm going to start with you. You have put your faith in us. You have you're providing support for the second leg of the edition. What I'd like you to highlight the relationship between investments on the one hand and startups on the other.
Are you talking of philanthropic investments?
Yes, philanthropic investments.
Sure.
Yes.
So let me begin by just first introducing Sequoia Climate Foundation. Uh, we have no relationship to an investment firm by that name, first of all. We are a 3.5-year-old philanthropy, and we support climate action. And the way we distinguish ourselves from other philanthropies is that our biggest emphasis is on achieving speed and scale in terms of climate action. And so, how we prioritize our investments is by those that will result in the highest impact within this decade. We all know this is the decade of action, and that's what we've chosen to prioritize our investments on. So, more than this specific initiative, I would say that when ISA was born under the leadership of India and France, um, there was a lot of excitement about it. And when you took over the leadership at ISA, because of who you are and what you've delivered in your past roles, Dr. Mathur, um, Sequoia Climate Foundation stepped in and started a relationship with ISA. We wanted through this to give a very strong signal to the government of India, the government of France, as well as to all the 118 countries that we are coming out in support of your action on solar energy. Now, when it comes to investments and entrepreneurship, there is a very strong relationship between policy and markets, and you referenced that in your initial remarks when you said it's a chicken and egg problem. How does policy drive entrepreneurship, which then leads to scale in action, and how does that action drive further policy enhancements and improvements? It has to be a virtuous cycle. So even though we focus our investments on um, policy action in this instance, because we want to support ISA and its larger objectives, we were also quite convinced about the logic of regulation being driven by entrepreneurship. From my personal standpoint of having launched two startups in the social space in India, Shakti Sustainable Energy Foundation and the Nature Conservancy India, I would say that every time I finished my role in that startup and came back to the United States, um, I reflected on what I would do differently. And each time my response was, I would like to tap the entrepreneurial spirit of the people to drive policy action. And I think somewhere at a personal level, there was also a strong connect between what you're doing and what my own life journey has taught me. So I hope I have answered your question. Thank you.
Certainly, Seema. And again, many, many thanks. So I'm going to immediately take all that you have said and move to Peter. Peter, you were an evaluator this year. One, what has excited you? And two, what are the kinds of lessons that we can draw as we move into the next phase?
Thank you very much. First of all, for inviting me and World Climate Foundation, and also thank you for the.
I should also introduce.
No.
Peter is the chairman of the. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. So Peter is the chairman of the Climate World Climate Investment Foundation.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I would say that we are very impressed of the whole way you have been working with this idea. It's actually one of the very few times I have seen that somebody has really tried to target the entrepreneurs. And many investors that want to do something have the problem they're not able to get into these small investments, but are looking for large investments. But we all know that it has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And if I should say what I was so impressed about, there were several things. First of all, the 180. I was in the judging committee, and I thought, oh, there'll be 30 or 40. So I was a little bit impressed of the 180. I had to take a couple of more weeks to go through them that I actually have anticipated. But also the quality of the way they have done it actually was much better in many of the cases that I would have thought. And then if we look at the 20 that has been chosen, the width and breadth of what they're doing, it's transport, it's livestock, it's finance, it's decentralized energy, it's simplifying what they're doing. And also, of course, with my background in finance, a lot of them have different financing elements. And I think that is extremely important when we are thinking about this. I have been investing in some cases in microfinance and see how much I can actually move what's happening. So I'm impressed, and hopefully some of these will really grow to be bigger companies. And I also think it's extremely important that you have the technical assistant and the assistants to those companies, because my experience with startup companies, also in the developed world, is it's not all about money. It's also about giving the right instruments to manage the company, to grow the company, and also how they're going to get all the customers going on board in the further journey. The one thing I'm also excited about is maybe a question mark, who is going to help these companies in the next phase? We
Right,
know
right,
that then in the next phase, they will need growth capital. So I think it's important that the local finance institutions in these African countries are able to step in and help them. Because before they get some of the really mega companies, there's a lot of steps to go through. But I have been impressed, and I hope to see these companies in the future as some of the very fast-growing African companies.
Thank you very much, Peter. That immediately takes me to Pratap Raju, who's sitting next to you. Pratap, you have been a lead co-founder. You have been a person who invests also in newer uh, 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 entrepreneurial uh, uh, startups. So, what is the kind of hand holding you see startups, not necessarily these startups, but in your experience, what is the kind of hand holding that you would like to see startups go through before they come to capital funds?
Sure. Thank you. And thank you very much for inviting me and being part of SolarX in the previous edition in particular. Very few people know about us, Climate Collective Foundation, but we have been supporting startups since 2016. And at least in the Global South, we have accelerated 1,100 startups and 68 accelerators, and it may be through workshops, 4,000 clean tech startups. So on the ground, there's a lot of activity, especially in India, which has really taken off the last 7 years. In Africa, we run a few accelerators. In Southeast Asia, it's much less support. There is capital, as Peter may know, probably knows, to support startups. $180 million we helped raise into our portfolio in the last 3 years. So it's not the lack of capital. It's the technical assistance. It's a hard journey. It's a long process. Clean tech, you have, especially in areas like energy access, if you work in adaptation resilience, this is maybe 3 years longer to take, fewer customers, fewer accelerators. So it's very nice to see ISA take this role to support solar tech across the global south. So I think a large part of this is I'll give you an example with my ex-wife. She had 20 years experience working at MasterCard Visa product manager. She had a startup to support end user finance, solar end user finance with a small RRB, a regional bank in Kerala, right? This is not a finance problem. There is plenty of finance looking for solutions increasingly. Nobody, I think, or we can solve that. It is a fintech problem. And I don't want to get into too much of talking about other companies, but this is hard to do if you're a large company.
Okay.
Fintechs are solving this
Right.
because they're agile, etc. She worked with this RRB. It was painful. It was long. She had very little money, at least to last or hire a team, etc. And where accelerators can come in is help smaller companies, which are SMEs and startups, last, get that kind of access to corporates, maybe grant capital, maybe early stage, even seed capital, etc. I think is especially vital here in the global south. I worked in initially with Climate Kick, if you know them in Europe, as well as CEC, California Energy Commission. Tremendous support, relatively speaking, for entrepreneurs. Maybe too much, I don't know, but it doesn't exist in the global south. So to have more programs supporting entrepreneurs in this early stage commercialization, in particular, so it's kind of the accelerator that SolarX is doing is spot on, I think, for this part of the world.
Thank you so much. And it leads us to rethink that maybe some kind of an accelerator program should be part of how we go ahead. Ruth, let's follow up on this. You have been an economist, you have been a supporter of entrepreneurship, you have in particular enabled projects in the small island developing states to take off. In your view, as we start this second edition, what are the kinds of things that we need to keep in mind?
Thank you. Thank you, Ajay. I'm going to step back a little bit and go back to the topic for the discussion, as you had pointed out earlier, as what is the need for boosting the solar startup landscape and driving innovation across globe. That's with my sort of with my academic hat, right? So let's think about what is the world that we live in. 50% of the world population is below the age of 30 years right now. And that's a very important factor to take on board. And these are the group of people, 50% of the world is really quite struggling or is really wanting to, there's this energy in this group of young people wanting to do something different. And I want to use the phrase that India has been using as well. How do we convert job seekers into job makers? Now this is exactly the space the startup is going into, and that's also in the global south. And as you just said, that there's been opportunity in some parts of the world, but it's the global south which needs lots more of these kind of support to make them enter into and thrive and accelerate is the next stage. It's also the context of the changing nature of jobs. So the nature of jobs, where traditionally I want a government job, that is old fashioned and now even in the global south. And that's where these young people are really very, very keen and really bubbling to want to do something, to be the job creators and to thrive in that space, because there is so much opportunity for them. And this is the system of enabling. Now, I'm also representing the Commonwealth, and I've seen these questions in the case of the fintech space, the entrepreneur startup. I'm doing some work between India and UK, collaboration in the startup space, where there are a lot of ideas, but how do you convert those ideas into tangible, um, how to make them work? Yes. And so the challenge, even with university incubators, is where is the money? Yes. So, in a sense, what you're doing with SolarX is actually giving that incentive plus giving the visibility. And I want to say, and it's something additional about SolarX, is that Commonwealth has this Commonwealth Youth Awards, and they've been running for a long time. And the Youth Awards, we give about 20 a year, but different levels of awards. But they're not only for environmental projects, but for general development projects. And that gives these young people a boost. The visibility also helps them then access and reach out to other multiple achievements. It gives them the platform to expand, and it really gives them a big boost. In the last 3 years, I think we've supported more general environmental projects. Out of all of them, about 16 are environmental projects in the last 3 years together. But what is more special about the SolarX is the specific focus on promoting entrepreneurship in solar access. That is a very important area to do, because the world has to go into renewable technologies and it has to accelerate investments, projects into renewable technologies because we have because renewable technologies, other than there is nothing, but we definitely have to do renewable technologies if we want to manage our emissions and bring it down. Is that renewable technologies, they're not just technologies to enhance renewables, but they are drivers, they are engines of enabling economic, environmental, and social development for the region, particularly in global south. And that's from evidence I have seen from other renewable technology projects, including in India. Let's say I go to Karnataka, I see a huge wind project, another renewable. And I've seen the areas actually change in so many different ways. Education is improved for the children in the region. So economic, environmental, and social development happens along with when we invest in renewable technology projects. So specific solar, great. Coming back to access. Now, you talked about money is there. Money being there is no use if they don't know how to access it. So, when you're doing boot camps to train them to access finance, that is extremely crucial. The accelerator. So, they need the training, they need the know how to expand from small startups to then become the Amazons, as you quoted in the booklet, saying you wish that they become Amazons. To do that, accelerate plus access to finance is extremely important.
This leads me, Ruth, to a very interesting question. Where is the beef? Where's the well? I'm quoting an advertisement that it goes shows my age. Uh, there was an advertisement in the U.S. which used to say, "Where's the beef?" But sorry, I've changed my words. So, well, that's so it seems. So it seems.
That's the 50% of the population below the age of 30. Language has changed.
So, no, no. My question to you, before I come to you, Sandra, is so what is it that people are looking for? So, if we're looking at the small island developing, and let's focus on small island developing space because that's a place where the Common Secretariat and ISA have collaborated on developing projects. But what are the kinds of opportunities for startups that you see there?
I'll coming before coming to small island states, I want to refer to a conversation I was having with the Ghana Finance Ministry officials yesterday, and they were sounding very pessimistic about. I said, Ghana people are very smart. How is the economy going? And they said not very well. So I said, why not? Okay. And there is young people, there is technology. Why is it not driving? So they look very disappointed, saying, yes, the ideas are there, but the avenues to promote them and enable them are limited or non existent. So I'm pleased that SolarX has one awardee who's from Ghana. But if we go to small island states, and then it's bigger problems for small island states. Big problem of small island states is they're extremely vulnerable to climate challenges, and I think small islands' voice is the most crucial in moving the global debate on how we should move forward with our goals. And the same challenges exist for young people there too. There is a lot of, even in our youth awards, there are a lot of young people who receive the awards. But then it is again, and they're also really anxious and keen to get more funding. And today's world, with technology, they can sit in a beautiful small island and still expand a project, which is not only their country based, but it's collaborative through sharing some experiences and knowledge. And this is where you also mentioned earlier about collaborations. Those are the enabling things that need to be done. Collaborations between small startups, creating a platform.
Right.
So the knowledge that you're already doing as training and things that you're doing, electronic platform where we can share those ideas with each other, sometimes form collaboration between themselves with each other or cross border wherever they wish to. And in today's world, it's possible because we have fast tracked and accelerated with the technology that's available. I don't know if I answered your question.
I'm going to now throw that question actually to Sandra. Sandra, there are lots of benefits that people, all of us thought would be there. They go all the way from access to finance, access to technology, the fact that you get recognition, and so on. In your view, what is different about SolarX?
Thank you very much. Just a quick introduction. My name is Sandra Chukwudozie. I'm from Nigeria, and my startup is focused on solar products. Um, I'm going to go into your question. I think in Africa, in Nigeria, the biggest challenge that we have is the fact that we have capital that is very impatient. It wants profit now versus capital that wants to fuel growth. And with the ISA challenge, that is the difference. It's that catalytical financing that can allow you to scale up the business. Because, for example, like Ruth was saying, young people are hungry for growth and to succeed. When I started my career at the United Nations in New York, I was part of the COP delegation for COP 15 Paris Agreement. It was ratified. And there and then I knew that I wanted to be on the ground solving the problem. And now the biggest challenge for me was that, I'm a young person. I came from an oil and gas background, and everybody around me was saying, why are you doing renewable energy? And so automatically, the financing is hard. How are you able to raise financing for a new kind of energy versus the predominant oil and gas? You go to the banks, it's difficult. You go to other places, it's very difficult. But what we're able to see and what I would love to advocate with the ISA is being able to, like Peter said, what is the next step in terms of the financing? How can we be linked to partners that can allow us to really scale up our ideas? Because what we're doing is market creation. The next step is distribution of the solutions at massive scale to become the Amazons of our generation. Yeah, in short.
So, Sandra, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
As we go into a second, we have done whatever mistake we have learned, we are learning from you.
Okay.
As we go into a second edition, what should we do differently?
That's a very beautiful question. I think what we should do differently is to look at distribution. So,
Okay.
yes, I think if we look at the industries in Africa, I want to call from Africa that have actually scaled deeply into um, last mile distribution. That is where you get the biggest impact. How are we giving financing that is patient to really fuel that growth? What is the next step? I think with this first cohort, the next step hasn't really been too clear in terms of how we can really unlock the next level of financing.
Mhm.
So I would say from the jump, being able to have that would be ideal.
Thank you very much. I think this gives us a new addition to the focus. Uh, you're very right. I think from what all of you said, the idea seems reasonably good. We need to hone it to meet the needs. We need the accelerators. We need the focus on distribution. We need the focus on, as Ruth said, answering the needs of people who have fire in their bellies. But before we end, I do want us to take a few questions from the audience, and it'll be great if you can identify yourself, and it'll be even more wonderful if you can identify which of these guys, not me, which of these guys you're addressing it to. One is with Rudy, who is not really a startup, but one of the agencies that ISA is supporting in growing solar electricity into the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Thanks so much. Yeah, exactly. So just a quick note, about 4 years ago, my company Nuru was just getting going, no capital at all. We were recognized by a partner, and the credibility provided by that recognition was absolutely essential for us. We're now just closing a $70 million round to 10x our assets that we're managing in DRC. So it's incredibly encouraging to see ISA hosting and focusing on entrepreneurs at an event like this, so critical to the overall pipeline process where these larger, huge mega funds get deployed in places where ISA is supporting entrepreneurs. Yeah, just a question on, especially those who have done investments and on the investment side, um, where are the gaps on team that you guys see most acutely? Because I think a lot of brilliant young entrepreneurs, maybe there are some critical financing skills, for example, that they don't have. And then where have you found, effective partners who can come in and provide that technical assistance for high potential founders who don't have quite the team they need to get to scale?
So I'll give you a little bit of a background. Uh, there is a problem as far as people are concerned. So I don't know, Sandra, if this is your problem as well. John certainly mentioned it. For example, if he wants a high quality CFO, where do you find somebody you can afford? Peter, I'm going to push this towards you before I push it to anybody else.
Yes, this is not an easy question. I will use a mix of my experience of being a venture investor in the developed world, but also I have seen some projects in the emerging markets, and there are some similarities. There is this cliff of death. When you have started up, you've grown to a certain size, and then you need the financing and the expertise to come to the next step. And that's difficult in all over the world. And it's not the same investors you should look for in the next step. It's another kind of expertise. My hope would be that either, and it might not be international investors, for me to see, it would be very interesting if some of the local investors in Africa would step in. Maybe some of the bank, maybe a local bank that know the special things in the area. But as we have discussed, it's also important that that bank or that financial institution are able to go in and help by distribution slash marketing, because that's part of the next, how you grow from a small amount of customers to maybe cover the whole country or a big part of the country. So that would be my advice. And it's not necessary to have investors from the developed world because they don't know the local conditions.
Pratap, would you have anything to add before I come to Ruth?
Sure. I think your question is how to find talent to. This is very hard, as Peter had mentioned. Generally, in India, everybody can nobody can find a CTO. Such competition, a chief technology officer, CFOs are hard to find. We tried something with UNDP called Climate Jobs Fair a year ago to get talent to clean tech startups. As an example, it wasn't very successful. It was too hard to do. So we have been running something called Climate Startup Week, where we run actually about 90 events a year for clean tech startups. We realized this is the right way to do it. Sometimes we over engineer stuff, and getting people to meet each other on a continuous basis will find those referrals more than we think we can centralize and create a list and all that stuff. And we just continue with this once we saw that it was working. Is let natural networks find people. I think having said that, it's a challenge. At least as an ESO or a support organization, this is how we help our early stage entrepreneurs find, especially CXO level talent. Yeah.
Ruth?
So it's not easy, but I'm taking examples from what I've been seeing in the fintech startup space. That's why the enablers are important. I won't say there's no talent. There is a lot of talent out there, but it's about how do we facilitate that talent. So having having ISA and this partnership come together to create these networking opportunities. So I've seen incubation centers, like I know there are several in London, which I've looked at. Similarly, there are incubation centers in Bombay, which create those enabling atmosphere for startups to come together in one space where they have a desk and they work on it. But what encourages me most recently, as I've seen in India, is, for example, the Reserve Bank of India has created a hub, which then is a facilitator. And that's supposed to be a facilitator not only for any particular but also as a regional space. But there are challenges, and I have met with state level, government level enablers. So they are creating office spaces to precisely do create this enabling atmosphere. I see these as positive sign. They're still in the initial stages of formation into these enabling situation, because they were complaining to me. For example, one organization was complaining that we didn't even know about the Reserve Bank hub, which is sitting in Bangalore, which is next door to us. But the point is that they exist. Now, how do they communicate with each other? How does ISA then link up with these enabling, facilitating institutions and then bring in the solar concept into it? So the mechanisms exist. How can we need to accelerate and expand them further?
So this leads me to what Peter had mentioned about national banks. There are countries in which national banks are strong, and there are countries in which national banks are not so strong. Uh, would a coalition of banks help in addressing both what Sandra mentioned as the distribution growth problem, as well uh, uh, as the securing of talent problem that John spoke about? So this is an idea that I'm thinking maybe this is something we should do in the second edition.
The reason why I'm talking about the banks, it could be also other kind of local financial institutions. It is because you need to create a system in the local community that's actually able to take over and help. And I agree, they might not be able to help in all circumstances, but at some point you need that local part to step in and finance and see if they have the kind of expertise that they're looking for in the special company.
I know that we are over time, Pragya, but I wonder if Sujata is still there and she can share some of the Invest India experience. She's left. Okay. Yes, please. Yeah.
My name is Yasser Al Touki from Oman. And my question is related to the role of policy making, um, and whether that's an issue in some regions, or that that is hindering the full deployment of your initiative.
So the very, very, very quick answer is yes. The longer answer is, at least I see it as a chicken and egg situation, because policy making will help more entrepreneurs and more startups to appear. But on the other hand, without startups appearing, without learning from them, we are making policy in a vacuum. But Sandra, this is something which you have particularly faced. Can I ask you to say a few words?
Okay, so thank you very much. So, for example, in Nigeria, we had fuel subsidies, and what that meant was that the price of petrol was predominantly lower, and it meant that off-grid solutions like solar couldn't penetrate the markets. Now, recently, with our new government coming in place, the petrol subsidies were wiped away, and what that meant was that petrol prices tripled in price. And what that means automatically is one, you're able to allow solar be competitive. Park that in one corner. Now, the government also works with the World Bank for the Rural Electrification Program that allows results based financing, which are grants. So it's important that we're able to look at the policy around pushing these renewable energy resources. How are we able to ensure that the financing is going there? So the result based financing partnered with by the World Bank, it allowed companies to go last mile, not just the customers who are in urban areas, but peri-urban and rural areas. And what does that do? It allows you to reach these goals faster and quicker. Yeah.
I do have a follow-up, if
Yes,
I may.
please.
Yeah, so it's with regards to you mentioned that financing is not an issue, so the funds are available. It's having a local partner in the regions that you're targeting. These local partners are in the form of, what is their role basically? Is it to be like a middle person between the fund and the actual execution of the projects on the ground? And maybe one last question is how small are these startups? Is there some kind of a range in terms of size or capital with regards to or conditions for the startups?
Let me start with you, Peter, and then Pratap Raju for you to take over.
Yeah, first about the local partner. I think in many cases, and that's built on my experience investing in mostly in large scale, but also in some cases in microfinance in emerging markets, it's extremely important to have a local partner. And that's because the culture, the whole way of how the political system or whatever it is works is very important to get success. So it's I mean, those are the people on the ground who know what can be done and what cannot be done in that area. So that's important. The second thing about who can invest in this, in general, I would say the big institutional investors from the developed world will think that most of these investments are too small. So you have to have a fund going in between. It could be incubators, it could be other kinds of instruments, but I would say you would never see an institutional investor from the developed world go more directly into those kind of investments. It will be too many, and they don't have the expertise actually to really to help them.
Just very quickly, on the first point, there is no policy research in the global south for startups anywhere. That's just my experience. It's very weak. Even in India, we don't see it. It is an area we do work on. And there's a reason just to point out Estonia is as small a country as you can get, is a fintech startup leader. It didn't come out of just startups or entrepreneurs. It was directed policy. I think that's a big advantage, especially if you're not India, which is big enough to survive on its own, to have directed, strong policies to support clean tech entrepreneurs. Um, uh, on the other point, startup support is really complicated. It could be like we mentioned, accelerators on the ground, and in fact, having homegrown accelerators is the key to supporting startups. The startup journey is long, 4 years. Having group platforms like SolarX can really supplement what is happening on the ground because they bring in technical expertise and networks. So what local groups can do is facilitate investment, of course, capacity training, policy research, which could be very supportive for, of course, entrepreneurs and generally, etc. It's a lot more messier. Maybe off this panel we can discuss that. Yeah.
Thank you. Uh, if there are no more questions, can I request Minister Ibrahim from the Republic of Malawi to please deliver the closing remarks, sir?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Good afternoon. Just because the mic was just right. We're talking about solar energy. Let's energize our bodies. The eyes, Director General, Excellencies, distinguished panelists, yes, the media, ladies and gentlemen, I'm deeply honored to take this opportunity to give the closing remarks to this distinguished gathering today at the Solar X Startup Challenge, an event that holds the promise of propelling solar entrepreneurship to new heights across the globe. It is mentioned in the Quran and other holy books that the earth has been created for us to utilize, but also God will create more وَيَخْلُقُ لَكُم مِّمَّا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. There is an opportunity of innovations, science and technology in order to achieve and save the world accordingly. As the Minister of Malawi, it is with great pride and enthusiasm that I stand before you to champion the cause of sustainable energy innovation and entrepreneurship. The panelists' discussions has taken place. The SolarX Startup Challenge signifies not just an event, but a beacon of hope, uniting brilliant minds and visionary leaders in our shared mission, sustainable future. We understand the transformative power of renewable energy sources, particularly solar power, where I will make more emphasis that this is the natural resources that knows no boundary. It is God's given. When you look at the United Arab Emirates 40 years ago, we were at par with Africa. But because of the visionary leaders of this country, they have moved and made wonders. وليس العجائب. It's not just wonders, but they're making the dream to come reality. Because the sun will rise and set. What we need is to grab that resource. And that's when also the innovation, science, and technology comes in. That the power which we can have during the day can be also banked and utilized during the night. It is a natural resource that knows no boundary indeed. There is no interference of any human being. No matter how powerful nations will be, the sun will rise and set. But other sources of energy, when there are conflicts, nations can block one another, but not the sun and not the wind. Particularly solar power in alleviating energy poverty, fostering economic growth, and preserving our planet for future generations. The International Solar Alliance Pavilion, which we are standing today, in the past days we've been here, serves as a platform where bright ideas converge, where innovation meets opportunity, and where entrepreneurship thrives. It is here, at this pavilion, that we witness the birth of groundbreaking solutions that not only drive economic prosperity, but also address the pressing issue of climate change. Today, we celebrate the ingenuity of entrepreneurs who dare to challenge the status quo. We envision a world powered by clean, accessible, and affordable solar energy. The controller of this renewable energy is only the Almighty Lord. It is up to us to think and bring solutions in order to get that solar energy. Their dedication from International Solar Alliance and perseverance and creativity are the driving forces behind the innovation that will shape our collective tomorrow. Malawi, my country, stands committed to fostering and enabling environment for solar entrepreneurship. We recognize the immense potential that startups hold in driving our nation towards sustainable development. Through strategic partnership, support policies, and targeted investments, we aim to unlock the full potential of solar energy and propel our economy towards a brighter, greener future. As we immerse ourselves in the Solar X Startup Challenge, let us not forget the power each of us holds. The power to innovate, the power to collaborate, and the power to create a lasting impact. Let us harness this collective power to accelerate the growth of solar entrepreneurship, not just across borders, but across continents. Together, let us pave the way for a world where solar energy illuminates not only our homes, but also our aspirations. A world where the sun becomes a catalyst for empowerment, progress, and sustainability. Thank you very much to the organizers, the ISA, the International Solar Alliance, and your partners. Participants and supporters of this esteemed event, let us embark on this journey together and create a legacy that ignites a brighter and more sustainable future for generations to come. If we serve this world accordingly to the holy books, we are going also to serve the future generations. And the future generations will not complain or talk ill about us because we would have laid a good foundation. I wish all the best and thank you very much, our panelists, for unpacking the topics and also taking the questions from the audience. And we're looking forward from today, this COP28, it should be the beginning of action, not only talk shows. Because the targets which we set ourselves that come 2030, accessibility, reliability, affordability, sustainability of electricity should be to mankind. And 2030 is just tomorrow. Few years or few months will be into 2030. So we need to have action. Action oriented is very, very important. May God bless the ISA, the panelists, and the organizers, and the participants, and everybody who contributed for this session to take place. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, Minister Ibrahim. Thanks very much for those very wise words. And we promise you action. Through the various startups that have been identified in Africa in this year, through the startups that are identified in Asia in the next year, many of these, or I hope all of them, will be doing the action that we want. Many, many thanks. Thank you all very much for coming over.